Hi, welcome to this quick video on how I back up my Lightroom catalog files automatically every time I log off or shut down my Windows PC. A couple of things to note right at the start. Firstly, this doesn't work if you sleep or hibernate your PC. It only works if you log off or shut down. And of course it doesn't work on a Mac, so sorry for the Mac users out there, this process is only for a PC. The video coincides with a blog on my website, URL's on the screen. Take a look at that because you'll be able to see screenshots on there, and you'll be able to copy and paste the robocopy command that we use, that we'll come to a little bit later on in the video. So about my setup and what I wanted to create with this automatic backup. So Lightroom's on my PC, catalog files as normal stored locally, which you have to do with Lightroom. It doesn't support networked catalogs. I have heard some people doing a hack for them, but you wouldn't want to do that because you want your catalog files crisp and very fast and good to access. So they're stored locally on my machine, and what I want to do is I wanted to back them up to my NAS. Now I've got a NAS, a network attached storage device, which is a box with some hard disks in it that make redundant copies, and I back that up somewhere else. Photos are stored on the NAS, as are all my important files, and now my Lightroom catalog files are stored on there as well because of my automatic backup. So this process will work for anything that's got a drive letter. So if you want to back up to a USB hard drive, a USB memory card, an SD card in a reader, a secondary hard disk in your PC, or maybe you've got a Windows share on another PC somewhere, as long as you've got a drive letter, this process will work. If it is a network mapping, so a NAS or a Windows share somewhere else, there is an extra step that we have to do, which is pretty simple, and I'll explain that when we get to it. But yeah, so what is a Lightroom catalog, and why is it important? Well, you've probably come across this issue where you're in Lightroom, you exit Lightroom, and you get this pop-up box up. Do you want to back up your catalog files? I don't know about you, but me is like, yeah, I'll skip it this time. And you go back in next time and you skip it, and then you open up a different catalogue and you skip that, and another catalogue and you skip that, and before you know it, you have no idea whether catalogues are backed up or, you know, they're safe or whatever. If you don't back up those catalogues, what will happen? Eventually you may lose one, becomes corrupt, or you accidentally delete it, etc, etc. Issue you'll have is you don't lose the photo, but you lose all of the edits. So the catalog file, it's a database of the manipulation you've done to the photos, and that's how the non-destructive element of Lightroom works, that you edit your photos in Lightroom and it writes those edits to the catalog file and applies them to a photo that doesn't actually get changed itself. So where are they stored? Well, on my PC, I've literally got them stored in my documents under a folder called Lightroom Catalogs. And in there you'll see I've got another 63 folders, and that's currently my list of catalogs that I've got that I'm working on. And these folders inside there get created by Lightroom every time you create a catalogue. If you have a look inside one of them, so have a look in this snorkeling one, you will see that I've got a file in there called Caribbean Snorkeling 2014.lrcat. The .lrcat file is a catalogue. It's a Lightroom catalogue. It's a database of, like I said, all the edits and the changes that you've done to a photo, and it applies them in a non-destructive way. That's the file we really need to sort of put bubble wrap around and make sure we don't delete it or get corrupt. You'll also see in there there's a folder called previews.lrdata. We drill down into this folder, there's loads of subfolders with information in there. What these subfolders and files are, they're the previews that Lightroom creates when you import files. You don't need to back these up. Lightroom doesn't back them up automatically with its backup solution. It literally just copies that lrcat file. If you were to lose the catalogue, or you need to restore, your PC blew up or whatever, when you bring that catalogue file back in, it automatically creates those preview files, so you don't need to back that up. They're not important to retain. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to create a way that every time I logged off my PC or shut down, a login script would kick in. It would copy this Lightroom Catalogs folder, that one there, all of these subfolders inside there, and just the .lrcat file from every one of those subfolders, but not the previews.lrdata. Don't want them, so I don't care. So how was I going to do that? Well, I was going to use a command called robocopy. So if I just bring up this notepad that I've got, What we do, we create a logoff script that you tell Windows to run every time you log off. And the logoff script is a batch file. For those who don't know what a batch file is, it's a file that ends in .bat and it runs command line programs. So you can group together sequentially a load of commands and run those commands as a batch file. And we're going to run this batch file at logoff time. So the command is robocopy, very powerful command line copy solution that Windows has had for many years. And we'll go through exactly how this works. Now feel free to visit the blog on the website and copy and paste this and make any changes you wish to do it. So the first parameters in there, you'll see in these quotes, is literally just my Lightroom Catalogs folder that's in my documents. Okay, so that's the source, that's where we're going to copy all the info from. The next set in quotes is where we're going to copy it to. You notice I've got my Q drive on here, which I'll come to in a second why I've called it a Q drive. In fact, there's no reason why I've called it a Q drive. It's just that Q was the first letter on the keyboard. But we'll come back into that at the moment. Whatever you have, if you have a USB drive or a memory card or a secondary hard disk, you just put in there whatever drive letter you want and whatever folder you want it to go to. Like I said, the network one's a little bit different, which we'll come back to in a second. And then following that, we have the parameters that we assign to this robocopy, the switches. So this is where we can tell robocopy to do trick things. So the first one you'll see is /mir. That tells robocopy this is a mirror. What I mean by that is the source and the destination will always be the same, okay, mirroring each other. So if I create a new catalog in Lightroom, it'll create a new folder and a new cat file. And when I exit Windows, log off Windows, it will go, oh, new file, copy it over. If I edit an existing catalog, it'll say, oh, that's changed, I'll copy that one. If I delete a file, if I decide I don't need that catalog anymore, when I log off, it will copy that information over and go, oh, it's not there anymore, and it actually deletes it on the destination. Okay, so it always keeps a mirrored copy, exactly the same on each side. Now just bear in mind that if you do delete a catalog, exit Windows and then go, I shouldn't have deleted that. Oops, too late. You've already deleted it, and of course it's deleted it off your backup. Not a problem for me because my NAS where I store these backups are then also backed up, so I have a third copy of it. But just be mindful that the mirror does make sure that both are exactly the same. The next parameter, /np, all that does is when we create a log file, don't put the actual process of each copy, you know, 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, 55%. So if you didn't have that np, it would put all that information in a log file, and we don't really need that. The next one is /s. That is telling robocopy to copy every single subfolder from that source. So the source is this Lightroom Catalogs, and it says copy every subfolder. Now we already said we don't need to because we don't want the previews.lr data. Come back to that in a second. /v, that is to say write the information that's been carried out into the log file, so you'll see the copies going on without the 1%, 2%, 3% like I said. And the next parameter is actually telling you where to put the log file, and as you can see I've put it on the Q drive, it's exactly the same place as where I'm storing the Lightroom Catalogs, just in a different folder. And that backup file is good, the backup log file is good to go back now and again just to check that the your Lightroom Catalogs are actually backing up okay. Some people might be able to say, you know, that file, if it exists, email it and have a daily email, but you know, I just check periodically just to make sure that my backups are working. Now the next one is the critical one. This is the great thing of robocopy. /lev:2. What that is saying is only go 2 levels of subfolders. Okay, so with the /s that I said earlier on, I'm going to copy every single subfolder in that directory, in that folder, but now I'm telling it I'll actually only go 2 levels deep. And what I mean by that, if we go back here to my documents, so I've said it, Lightroom Catalogs is the source. If I go in, that's 1 level. Okay, I'll now go to Caribbean Snorkeling again. That's 2 levels. Okay, and I've told robocopy only to go 2 levels deep. So it'll take all the files that's in here, which just happens to be 1, but not go any further than 2 levels deep. So this folder, the previews.lr data, it doesn't copy. Absolutely fantastic. That's exactly what we wanted. And that works a treat. Okay, the only other 2 parameters I've set in this robocopy is /r10. That means retry 10 times if for some reason there's a failure. So if you try to copy a file, it hasn't worked, try 10 times before giving up. and wait 30 seconds between each try. Okay, they're just standard stuff on Robocopy. You could miss them out if you like, but I've left them in there. Okay, so then what you do, you save this as a .bat file. Okay, so as long as you got it ends in .bat, you can call it whatever you like. Okay, if I pull up an example here, move that one out of the way, move that out of the way so we can see it better. This is my logoffscript.bat file. Okay, so I've called it logoffscript.bat. And you notice there's 2 extra lines in this than normal. So for those who are doing USB attached or extra hard disk and not relying on a network connection, that one line of Robocopy is fine. This is the bit where if you've got a Windows share or a NAS or you're going off somewhere to a mapped network drive, you have to add these extra commands in. The reason being, as soon as you log off Windows, it disconnects your network drives. Okay, so you're then telling Robocopy to copy to a drive that's not connected anymore. So what I've actually done on here is I've used the netuse command. Okay, and that will attach a network drive. So I've called it Q, like I said earlier, just because it was the first letter on the keyboard. Netuse Q is going to use this location, which is the IP address and the share on my NAS. And in here, you have to give it the user that it can attach to. Obviously, you would replace the square brackets username and square brackets password with the actual username, actual password, because I'm not going to give you my username and passwords to my NAS. Okay, so what it'll do, it'll create that Q drive, then it'll run the Robocopy to the Q drive, and then when it's finished, it'll run this netuse Q delete command. What that does, it just disconnects the Q drive. Okay, so the summary, it'll attach the Q drive, it'll run the Robocopy to the Q drive, and then it'll disconnect that Q drive, and then it'll shut down. Okay, like I said, if you're not using the network one, you don't need those 2 netuse commands, just use the Robocopy. And then all you do is you save this logoffscript.bat somewhere on your local machine. Do not save it to your network, because of course when it shuts down, it won't be able to access it to run it. So make sure you save this locally on the PC. I simply just save it. You might have seen it earlier. I simply save it into my documents folder. Okay, so there we have logoffscript.bat. Let me just close this down. Okay, so I could run that file now. I'm not going to at the moment, but I could run that bat file now, and it'll just go away and do the copy. Okay, so you can run it any time, but we don't do that. We want to automate it. We want to do it when Windows logs off. So to do that, we have to use the local group policy editor. Okay, built into Windows. Again, it's not extra piece of software, it's built in. This is where you control the policies within your Windows machine and users. Windows 10 and Windows 8, to run it, all you need to do is do a search, and you can do GP edit, and you can see here, edit group policy in the control panel. That's the one you need. Windows 7, do your run command and just do gp edit.msc. Okay, that also works in 8 and 10. Just out of interest, I'm on 10. So if I run that, here we go. So we've got local group policy editor. And what we want to do on here, we want to configure the user, and we want to configure the Windows settings for that user. Okay, so I've just clicked on that, and you'll see the first option here is scripts. Double click that, and it'll give you log on, log off scripts. So I'll double click log off because it's what we want to do. And you can see on here, mine's already attached in here. It's going to run that bat file at log off. And to add the one you've just created, you hit the add button. Okay, browse to where you saved it, logoffscript.bat. Puts it in there. We don't run any script parameters with this, we don't need it, and then just hit OK. Okay, I'll just hit cancel because mine's already in there. And it'll put it into this logoff properties area, and then when you click OK, that's it, all done. So what will happen now is every time you log off or shut down, remember it doesn't work for sleeping or hibernation because you don't effectively log off. When you do log off or shut down, it will run that bat file, copy all your files over. Okay, so what I'm going to do to test it works, I'm going to run this logoffscript.bat manually. I'm just going to run it and you'll see the copy. But before I do that, I'm just going to go into this catalogue here, and I'm going to make a quick change to this photo. I'm going to put the exposure down. Okay, so I've done that. Now I'm going to quit Lightroom. It's going to warn me again at the moment about backing up, but I'm going to skip this time again, like I always used to. And that catalogue has now changed, and it'll be the only catalogue that's changed on my machine. So if I now run this logoffscript.bat manually, again, of course you won't be doing this, Windows will do it for you, but I'll run it manually. There we go, this command line popped up, gone. That's it, it's done. So now, that log file I created, let's have a quick look at it. So here's this area on my NAS where I'm copying those catalogs to. If I look at Lightroom Cat Backup, you will see that I've actually got 63 folders in there. If I go into one of them, you will see the LR cat file is in there. Okay, so that is working exactly how I want it to work. So let's just take a look at that log file I've just got created by running it manually. Okay, we'll skip right to the bottom to start with, and you'll see on here on the summary, okay, 64 files were found, 1 was copied, 63 were skipped, because only 1 file has changed, and that was that catalogue. Ignore a lot of these modifiers, because up here now you've got every single folder and file that it's trying to copy, so it's comparing. Now it says modified. I don't actually know what that means. It doesn't copy it even if it says modified. What you'll find at the top is you'll find one that says newer. And when you have a look, Alvo 2015.lrcat. Okay, so that was the catalogue I was just working on. It's copied it over. It was 35 meg, that catalogue, so a smallish catalogue, that one. But that's how I work with Lightroom. I create catalogues to keep them nice and small. So that's a 35 meg catalogue file, and you can see it started at 2120 and 53 seconds. On to the bottom, it finished at 2120 and 55 seconds. 2 seconds to copy that at Logoff. Okay, so if you had a big, you know, this one here, this Tour of Britain 2012 one, that's 624 meg. Now that's because I haven't cleaned off a lot of unwanted photos in there. If I'd worked on that, it would take a little bit longer, obviously, to copy. Now the first time you run this, obviously, it's going to copy every catalogue. So if you've got loads of catalogues, the first time you run it, the log off might take a while. You'll see the spinny thing saying logging off. Don't worry about it. It's just the fact that it's copying all these, all your catalogues for the first time. After that, obviously, it only copies the changed ones or deletes the deleted ones. So the first time might be a little bit slow, and that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. So you know, I can put my mind at ease now that every time I shut down my machine, I know that anything I've done different to my Lightroom catalog files are going to be backed off, and they're very safe. When my PC bombs out, I've got storage back on my NAS that I can pull back of all my catalog files, and that's brilliant. So you know, I was starting to get panicky because I'm a very lazy arse when it comes to clicking that yes, back up my Lightroom catalog files, so no longer have to do that. Okay, so just in case you don't know, I'll just launch up Lightroom again, that same catalog, and what you now need to do is, let me just put that back because it was, what you need to do now is when you go into the catalog files, you need to tell it to never remind you to back up. So edit, catalog settings, and here we go, backup. Now that's set to every time Lightroom exits at the moment because I did it just for this video, but now all I need to do is set it to never, and it will never ask you to back up the catalogue because it doesn't need to. You're doing it automatically. What you will need to do is every catalogue you've got, you'll need to change that in every catalogue because that's catalogue specific. Okay, so that's that. And the one thing that Lightroom Backup does do, it gives you the option to optimize your catalog every time it backs up. If you've got small catalogs, it doesn't really matter about optimizing them, but maybe now and again, every month or so, just go into File, Optimize Catalog. It'll tell you when you last optimized it. Hit Optimize, takes a couple of seconds with a small one. Big catalogs will take a little bit longer. Your catalogue has been optimized, but generally I don't bother unless I start to see things getting a bit laggy in the catalogue. The optimization takes that LR file and just reorganizes it a little bit more structured, so it's much better to use and much quicker. It's that crispiness I said that is really important for Lightroom catalog files. And that's all there is to it. Simple little thing that puts your mind at rest. So I hope it works out for you as good as it's working for me. Thank you for watching.